right, everyone. So welcome to Calm the Mind, this pranayama workshop. This is going to be a really calming, relaxing breath experience. And my goal with this workshop is to help you build some breath awareness and to learn why that is so important. So today we're going to go over 3 key points. I'm going to teach you 3 key things. One is how to exhale fully and why that is so important. We're going to discuss how to bring your awareness to the breath and do some breathing exercises for that specifically. And then a breathing technique that will be very calming to the mind very quickly. So when we are born, we breathe in. When we die, we breathe out. It is this breath, it is fundamental to our existence. It is why we are alive. And it's reported that on average, we take over 670 million breaths in a lifetime. The average person who lives till about 80 years old will take 16 breaths per minute. This means that we breathe 960 breaths an hour, 23,040 breaths per day, over 8,400,000 per year, and 672 million. So the average is 16 breaths per minute. And what I'd like to do right now is we're going to just check how many breaths per minute. So without trying to change your breathing at all, I'm going to just put a timer on for us. And you'll just begin counting. Inhale, exhale, 1. Inhale, exhale, 2. Just whatever your inhale, exhale, that's 1 cycle. So just count and you can go ahead and begin. And you may stop counting. And just note whatever that number is. We're going to do this again at the end of our breathing practice and just see if that number changes at all. So the average person takes 16 breaths per minute. And we want to really get that number lower. So whether your number was already lower, that's great. Or if it was even higher, that's okay too. But studies have shown that an average of 5 to 7 breaths per minute support our hearts and our brains. So through life's experiences, we forget to breathe. We know that we breathe an average of 670 million in a lifetime, but how many of these breaths do we actually think about? One of the main goals in yoga is to bring our awareness to the breath and to just begin to think about breathing. So there have also been a lot of studies that show the benefits of long, slow breathing and how it lowers the blood pressure, changes heart rate variability, lowers stress, reduces anxiety, promotes restful sleep, and helps to balance our brain waves. And breath awareness, it frees the breath also. It frees the breath to bring us back to the essence of ourself, the feeling of our essential nature. And so prana, in yoga, we hear this term prana a lot. Prana is called often energy or life force. And it's the energy of our soul, or it's our vitality. It's the energy of life, and it exists in every living and moving thing, such as the earth, the sky, the trees, the mountains, and the ocean. It exists in all of nature. There's also big prana and little prana. So big prana is the prana that exists, the energy that exists in nature all around us. And little prana is that energy or vitality that resides within each and every one of us. So within us, it is how our heart pumps, it's how our brain thinks, it's prana that keeps us alive. And so pranayama, then what is pranayama? The practice of pranayama is the conscious prolongation of either inhalation, exhalation, or both, as well as sometimes breath retention. So the word pranayama, we can split this into two words: prana, which we know is that energy or vitality of all of life, and yama means to restrain. And it doesn't actually just mean to restrain, but it's also the elongation of the breath as well. And so conscious breathing. So when today we're going to be talking about what conscious breathing is. And it's this awareness. It's just bringing our thoughts and our mind to the breath. And it helps to bridge the gap from the physical to the spiritual part of the self, from the body to the mind, and also from our stress response to our relaxation response. And when we think about the breath, when we actively think about the breath, we end up changing the breath. So when I asked you earlier to start counting the breath, you might have noticed that you automatically started slowing down the breath or changing it in some way. Usually when we think about the breath becomes longer. The number of the breaths per minute slow down. And the physiological response is that the nervous system becomes more resistant when we're slowing down the breath. So this is different from relaxation. It's our ability to come back to our normal baseline of our autonomic nervous system. So take a breath in, inhalation. Just take a long breath and just notice that. Notice that you are inhaling. This is in yoga, the inhalation part of the breath. The breath is really split into 4 parts. And so the inhalation is known as the act of receiving that cosmic energy, the big prana, in the form of breath. And so breath helps move prana, and it helps facilitate prana, and it helps to exchange prana within us and within nature. But breath isn't prana. Prana is a little different than the breath. And then the second part of the breath is breath retention, where there's just a slight pause. So as you're breathing right now, without changing anything, just notice after your next inhale, there's a slight pause. And this is said to, where we hold the breath in order to savor that prana and to just keep it and contain it inside the physical body within all of the cells. And now your exhalation, which is the third part of the breath. Just notice your exhalation. And it is this part of the breath that is said to where our thoughts and our emotions are just, we let it go. We let all of this go. Any negativity can just release with the exhale. And the average person, this is interesting as well, but the average person, because we take shorter breaths or shorter and faster breaths, the average person retains about 30% of carbon dioxide in our exchange of breathing. And so today, one of the things that we're going to learn is how to expel all the carbon dioxide out of the lungs so that we can take more oxygen in. And our bodies need this constant passage, this long inhalation and long exhalation. So filling up with oxygen and long exhalation to release that CO2 to allow for proper oxygen distribution to the body. And then as you continue to breathe, just notice that after your exhale, so just like after your inhale, there was a little pause. And after your exhale, this is a pause too. This is known as the suspension part of the breath, or when we connect back to nature or to something higher than ourselves. And so now let's go ahead and get comfortable. So you're welcome to lie down here if that would be more comfortable for you. You're also welcome to sit. And if you're sitting, I'd like to recommend that you try to sit really tall in good posture for the whole time. So what we're going to do right now, actually, let's all of us either come to a seated position or you can come onto your hands and your knees. We're going to just begin with a couple of movements to start to open up the body, the rib cage, stretching out the ribs. So sometimes when we breathe more shallow, it's because the muscles around the ribs and the upper back and the chest are really tight. And so we're just going to do a little bit of movement to help facilitate that release of those muscles. These are called the intercostal muscles. So I'll move my camera down just a little bit. So this is a seated cat-cow. I just have my hands on my knees, nothing fancy. Inhale, you're just going to lift the chest and then exhaling round. So if I turn to the side, it's going to look like this. Inhale, lift and lengthen, and exhaling round. And this can also be done if it's more comfortable for you on hands and knees, lengthening the spine, exhaling to round. And you don't have to, the movements don't have to be big. They can just be little, but we just want to start getting the body moving just a bit to help open up these muscles around the chest, the upper back. And then you can come back to a neutral position and we'll come into a side stretch. So if you're on hands and your knees, you can come to a seated position and we'll just take the right hand to the floor and stretch the left arm up and over to the side. So now we're stretching, again, these intercostal muscles, and we're stretching even deeper. This is called the quadratus lumborum. That's on the lower back. It wraps around the low back. And take an inhale and a long exhale. And then rising up, and we'll flow over to the other side. Notice if the side is a little more open or if it's tighter. And then we'll rise back up and we'll just come into a gentle twist. So we'll inhale, take the left arm up above the head. And as you exhale, take the left hand to the outer right knee. Gentle, gentle twist, taking the gaze over the right shoulder. Sitting tall, the low back should be rising in and out. And then we'll inhale to untwist. Breathe in, stretching the right arm up. And then exhaling, twisting to the left. Right hand comes to the outer left knee. And then as you breathe in, we'll untwist. And now you can lie down or sit up, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. And so wherever you are, just go ahead and close your eyes. And just begin to bring your awareness to your hands, to the palms of your hands. And go ahead and close your hands into a fist, and then release the hands. And just continue, close the hands and release. And now start to sync up the movement of your hands to the breath. It doesn't matter if you inhale or exhale while you're opening or closing, whatever the body just naturally does, but you'll sync up the movement to the breath. Opening the hands and closing into fists. And so this is a very simple technique that can help us to be aware of our breath. So by being aware of the movement and syncing the breath to the movement, we naturally begin to think about the breath. We'll just do this a few more times. And now just let the palms relax. Keep your awareness in the palms of the hands. And then bring awareness now up to the nose. Notice if you're breathing through the nose or through the mouth. And starting to be aware of every inhalation and every exhalation. And then we'll start to move the hands, the arms now with the breath. So as we inhale, and this can be done if you're sitting or if you're lying down, the arms can just make the shape of angel wings on the floor. So as you inhale, you'll let the arms rise up above the head. And as you exhale, let the arms float back down. And again, syncing the movement with the breath. So this time the arms reach up with the inhale and they lower with the exhale. But if the breath is very short, the arms just won't move very much, and that's okay. And one thing that I should mention as well here is that if you're not used to thinking about the breath or being aware of the breath, conscious breathing, it can sometimes make you feel a little bit like you're trying to catch your breath. And that is very, very normal so these different exercises we're doing today are all ways to retrain the way that we breathe. But in that process, it can make us almost feel like we're having trouble breathing. So just know that if that happens to you, come back to whatever your baseline breath is. Wait till you catch your breath and then you'll resume the breathing practices. But everything that we're doing today is very beginner level, just to relax the body and to relax the mind. So just last time, lifting the arms up and exhaling, lower the hands down. And just close your eyes and again, bring awareness to the nose, feeling the inhalation and also the exhalation. And then just begin to notice if you can find that pause, if you can find the retention as well as the suspension. So the retention is after the inhale. The suspension is after the exhale. And notice right now that you're doing all the work. I'm not telling you what to do except for just to simply notice the breath. So there's nothing right now that you need to do to change it. Just simply breathing and being aware that you're breathing. And then just begin to notice where in the body the breath is. So of course it's flowing in and out of the nose, but you might feel it also in the back of the throat, in the chest, in the abdomen. Just notice any place where you feel the breath. So if you're on your back, if you're lying on the floor, right now, just place your feet on the ground so that the knees are bent. This will allow you to be comfortable, most likely for longer period. And if you're sitting, of course, the feet are on the ground. And just focusing the breath. Notice the breath if you can feel it through the upper lungs, in the collarbones and the shoulders, as well as the neck and the throat. And as you exhale, notice the changes in the musculature. Notice what's softening, if the rib cage is lowering. Now we're going to come into a deep, full breathing exercise. This is called Derga Pranayama, and Derga means stretched breath. So bring your hands, one or two hands, to the abdomen, just to the navel, to the belly, or just below the navel. Notice the body as it moves with the breath. Feeling the rise and the fall of the belly as you breathe fully into this area. Filling the back, front, and sides of the abdominal area. Notice if you do feel the breath in the belly or if you don't, and that's okay too. And now keep one hand on the belly and we'll bring the other hand to the sternum, which is just going to be at the lower rib cage. So just the lowest part of the rib cage. With eyes closed, notice the breath. Feeling the rib cage, side of the ribs, and the middle back, breathing. Filling this area fully with the breath. Notice the way the body moves as you breathe, or what doesn't move. And whatever you feel is normal. And now we're going to keep one hand on the sternum and bring the lower hand up to the chest, to the collarbones. Continue the breath, noticing each inhalation, each exhalation. Feel the upper ribs, shoulders. Feel the neck and the throat as you breathe. Notice how the body moves or doesn't move. Notice what feels like it's moving freely and what doesn't move so easily. And now we'll release the hands down by your sides, keeping eyes closed, thoughts to the breath. And we'll practice a full yogic breath. So imagine the breath now isn't beginning in the nose, but it's beginning in the belly, in the low part of the belly. Begin filling the abdomen with the breath, then the chest, finally the collarbones, shoulders, neck, and throat. So you can feel the breath as it rises up along the body. Notice the exhale, the long exhale. And then again, breathing in from the abdomen to the sternum, the chest, the collarbones, neck, and throat. And just feel the slight pause before you exhale. Notice the breath, the whole part of the exhale, and even that suspension, that soft pause at the end of the exhale before you take a full breath in. Visualize the breath rising from the abdomen to the chest or to the throat, flowing back down, feeling those natural pauses. Imagine the breath like a wave, creating this wave-like motion several times, gaining a sense of your natural rhythmic motion, feeling the breath as it moves through the body, along the spine. Now we're going to you can for a moment just try to stop thinking about the breath, which is a little bit hard to do after you've been thinking about it. We're going to do a breathing exercise to release the diaphragm and also to help with facilitating a complete exhale. So here we want to get all carbon dioxide out of the breath. And so what we'll do, this is a sighing breath, or it's also called sometimes a ha breath, where we'll make the sound ha, like you're making a long sigh. So I'll do it and you can follow along with me. So you'll take a long inhale. We'll do about 5 or 7 of these. Ah. Inhale. Ah. And on the next one, as you breathe in, bring the shoulders towards the ears. Even if you're lying down, you can do this. And as you exhale, you'll sigh and drop the shoulders. Ah. And a few more times. And just keep going. I find that when I do this with the shoulders, I'm really able to elongate my exhalation. And just close the eyes, let the shoulders soften. Bring your awareness back to the inhale and to the exhale. Noticing the breath, again, originating in the low belly. And as you inhale, rising up, the breath rising. And as you exhale, the breath flowing down the spine, the breath flowing. And we'll just begin now to count the breath. So just counting your inhale and counting the exhale. And whatever that number is, so if you're at a number 2 or number 3 or number 4 or number 5, see if you can elongate the breath, each inhale and each exhale for 1 second longer. Feel that breath flowing up along the spine as you breathe in, flowing back down as you exhale. Now we're going to just change the direction of the breath a little bit. Notice what it would feel like to imagine the inhale now moving from the top of the chest and the throat. So the inhale moves down and the exhale moves up. So just notice how that's better or worse or different, or if the breath is longer or shorter. So as you breathe in, the breath moves down the spine towards the base of the spine, the tailbone. And as you exhale, the breath flows back up higher along the spine. This breathing is known as the classical yogic breath, but this is really a challenge for me. I just feel I can't feel my breath moving in this direction as easily. So we're just again, thinking about it, noticing the breath, notice the sensations or how your mind, your body feels as you're switching the direction of the breath. And again, there's no right feeling and there's no wrong feeling. Just one more breath like that, breathing in, the breath flowing down. And as you exhale, the breath rising back up. And now bring awareness to the abdomen and imagine the breath just right in the upper belly, maybe the chest as well. And almost as if you could visualize the breath like a balloon filling up, expanding. And then as you exhale, letting a little bit of air out, that balloon softening just a bit. And so there's this widening and expansion with the inhalation and a soft contraction with the exhalation, like a flowing movement in and out with the breath. And just notice how that feels. And then you can let go of any direction of the breath. Imagine now that you could see the breath, not just the location, but the quality. If you could name a quality of the breath, what would it be? If you could see the breath as being a certain color or texture, what would that be? Noticing the parts of the body that move as you breathe. Begin to imagine the breath like a stream of flowing water. Each inhale flowing and each exhale flowing. And then the next breathing practice that we'll do today is one of my favorites. This is called Bromari Pranayam, or also known as Honeybee breath. And so this breath, kind of like the ha or the sighing breath, it does help to release all the carbon dioxide out of the lungs. And it's also because we're making this sound in the throat, there's like a buzzing sound like a honeybee. This is very toning to this nerve, this big nerve in the throat called the vagal nerve, which governs our whole autonomic nervous system and helps to bring us into out of stress response and into relaxation. So out of the sympathetic nervous system and into the parasympathetic nervous system. So parasympathetic nervous system is when the body can just begin to relax, when the brain waves become more soothed, the heart rate variability can change, blood pressure will lower. So all of this. So we'll take a long inhale. And as you exhale, just make a buzzing honeybee sound. We're going to do this a total of 7 times. So we'll do this 6 more times. last time. Mm. Coming back to a slow, steady, streaming breath. Each inhalation full, continuous, and smooth. Feel the pause, that retention of the breath, and each exhale full, continuous, smooth. Noticing that suspension, that pause before the inhale again. Keeping your eyes closed. And just again, continuing to feel the breath. We're going to, again, once again, like we did at the beginning of our practice, count how many breath cycles per minute. And so you may go ahead and start now, counting each inhale, each exhale. You may stop counting your breath and just feeling the body, feeling the feet on the floor, whether you're sitting or lying down. Bringing your awareness back to the palms of the hands. Feeling the whole body, from the soles of the feet to the top of the head, front of the body, the back of the body. And then slowly open your eyes. And if you are on the floor, if you're lying down, you can roll over to one side and just pause for a moment there. And then slowly make your way back up to a seated position that is comfortable for you. So in this workshop today, we've had those 3 takeaways. We learned why it's so important to exhale fully and how to really facilitate that long exhale. So that ha breath with lifting the shoulders up and ha, exhaling fully. And then those little breath awareness techniques, such as opening and closing the hands or lifting and lowering the arms. These are both great ways to just begin to bring conscious awareness to the breath. And as you now know, pranayama, this is really conscious breathing, being aware of every breath. And then that last technique we did, that honeybee breath, my favorite one, that really helps to lower the stress response and lower anxiety very quickly. And all of these techniques are out of my yoga therapy for anxiety program, which is going to be coming up in about a month or so. I'm working on all the plans and all the details for that. I'm very excited about offering this online program. So I will if you guys think you might be interested in that, I'll drop the link to my wait list in this chat. And that way you'd be the first to know when enrollment opens for my anxiety course, Yoga Therapy for Anxiety. But I also want to hear from you and notice what you discovered about your breath from the beginning of our practice towards the end. Did the breath count change? Did you have more breath cycles, less breath cycles? And so you guys are welcome to unmute yourselves. 15, wow, Catherine, 15 to 6, 16 to 12, very good. 11 to 9, Dominique. Excellent.
I did 16 to 9.
16 to 9. That's Deborah. Great.
Yeah.
10 to 6.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you guys, you can see this works. It really works. Love the honeybee breath too. Yeah, I love it too. It's great. And I'm going to just drop the link here to my waitlist page. If you guys are interested in being on that waitlist, all you have to do is type your name and email in, and that way I can inform you as soon as my program launches and when I have more information on it. And I also offer from time to time, every couple months, I offer programs, yoga therapy for anxiety or yoga therapy for chronic pain. And also would be really happy to hear if there are specific courses that you guys are interested in. I can create, I want to offer you what you want. And also I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have about this practice that we did today.
It was really great. I enjoyed it a lot, Jackie. And I have a hard time getting a big breath. I don't think I have a big lung capacity. So it's really interesting to work with the breath.
It's so powerful, Deborah. And even, when we think that we don't have a good lung capacity or big lung capacity, we do, but it's just hiding. It's like a lot of things sometimes internally get covered up, right? And we just need to unleash it and open it up again. But we really do have the ability to breathe deeply. But one of the things I mentioned earlier is that if we're not used to it, it can almost make us feel like we're gasping a little bit. And there is actually a very common breathing pranayama technique where we inhale for maybe a count of 4 and then exhale for a count of 8. And that one, I can't do it. Like I can exhale for maybe 5 or 6 counts or 2 seconds longer than my inhale, but doubling the exhale I find it really challenging and almost feel like, I'm drowning or something. It feels a little panicky to me. So yeah, but it just takes practice, and it takes patience and awareness. And that's really what the practice is about, is just being aware of the breath. Trish says, yoga is so powerful and helpful for asthma and also for COPD. I've worked with clients that have COPD, and one of the greatest things are those movements that we did at the beginning, the cow and cat. So whenever we're starting to think about breathing, it's so important to open up the muscles along the ribs. So it can be just a little side stretch, gentle, doesn't have to be big. The twists are great. All of this is awesome to help that longer breath in. So I'm glad, Trish, that you've had some good results. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or anything to share?
Well, sometimes at night, I do the deep sigh out breath, try to get relaxing at night to go to sleep. That kind of breath that just kind of relaxes the whole body. I think it really helps.
And how did it feel then to do it with the shoulders?
It was great.
Mhm.
It was an addition.
Yeah, it's an addition. It helps me to allow the exhale to be longer, but also softer. So it's more of like a
Mm.
ha instead of a ha, get it all out kind of thing, but just a little bit softer.
Well, I'm going to try that at night again.
Yeah, and let me know. Feel that Dominique, yeah, the shoulders do. It really helps to, movement is amazing, right? We can think about the breath, but I think it's really important to add movement in to help us feel what's happening with the breath. It's really important.
Mm.
So wonderful to have all of you here. Few people that are new to me. We have Melinda and Jen and Zandra. I would love to hear where you guys are from if you want to share that info. I know most of you are right here in sunny Pacifica with me. Alrighty then. Well, everyone have a great rest of your day. Zandra, let's see, London. You're going to bed now. Yeah, I bet. Well, thank you for tuning in from London. It's great to have you. That has gotten you ready for bed. Yeah, I hope you have a great restful sleep. And one of the benefits of the breath awareness is also sleep, healthy, undisturbed sleep. And so one more time, I'm going to just pop that link to my wait list in the chat. And I want to thank you guys all for being with me today. And if you want to be on the wait list, you can just copy that and place it into your browser. And be well, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah.